Well, hello and welcome. Hello, Lady McLean, Shell Perrine. So, how many of you are really looking to lose weight? I guess none of you. Okay. But for the rest of you, I mean, the bottom line is this, that we're now in a position where 80% of Americans overweight, 50% are obese, 50% pre-diabetic, and we keep getting inundated with all these basically claims with no medical proof behind them whatsoever. And what we have, how you can quickly, do you really want to lose weight safely, quickly? You could lose weight in 7 days that would take you 8 weeks on any diet. They proved I have 10 peer-reviewed human trial medical studies. Nobody else on social media has even one study. They're giving you opinions. One of the biggest fallacies out there is this whole thing now around this time-restricted eating where you don't eat for 16 hours and eat for 8. Well, here's a big study. I'm holding it in my hand, published in the Annals of Internal Medicine. Well, first of all, in this study, which was 12 weeks long, so 3 months, the average weight loss by doing time-restricted eating was 4.6 pounds, and people doing just reducing calories on a normal basis was 5.2 pounds. So they lost more weight by doing a conventional diet. But here's what's so concerning about it, despite what they're telling you. And here's what they said, conclusion. In setting of isocaloric eating, time-restricted eating, did not decrease weight or improve glucose homeostasis relative to universal eating plan, which was lowering calories, suggesting that any effects of time-restricted eating on weight in prior studies were due to reductions in calorie intake. It had nothing to do with the time of day you ate. You know, this 016-8, total rubbish, totally disproven, but this is not the only study. There's another big study over here that was done in the Journal of the American Medical Association, not this particular journal, but I'll find it here for you in just a moment. And in that study, here it is. They said the Journal of the American Medical Association, again, a 3-month study, listen to what they said. New research found that overweight adults who were assigned to routinely fast 16 hours daily gained almost no benefit from it. And over the course of 3 months, they lost an average of 2 to 3.5 pounds. And most of the weight they shed was not body fat, but lean muscle mass. I see hundreds and hundreds of people flocking to this thing. It's completely disproven. In other words, if you just go on a diet and you lower calories and you eat over a normal period of time, you lose more weight doing that than doing time-restricted eating. And again, we don't make things up. We give you absolute medical proof. This is the, what's going on out there on the internet. You're seeing all these people giving you claims. They don't have one shred of medical evidence. We posted the website right there. You can see it, the New Health Conversation, where you literally can go and see this medical proof. Men and women with no exercise lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet any of you have ever been on. They lost as much weight in a month as a year in any diet, lost no water weight, and instead of losing lean muscle, which is the case on every one of these, I just read that to you, they gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. See, here's what the science is now saying. It doesn't matter what diet you go on, you're going to lose weight. But maybe you need to understand that the weight you're losing is the most unhealthy thing you could ever do. Because when your body doesn't have enough nutrition, it doesn't care about calories, doesn't even know what a calorie is, it will slow down your metabolism because it's using your muscles for fuel, and it also impacts your own immune system. So whatever diet you think you're on, it's not doing something for you. It's actually doing something to you. These researchers who are the top, these 10 peer-reviewed medical studies which have come out in the last year, this made every single diet obsolete. And again, it's not an opinion we're going to give you. For example, here's Harvard Medical School, stop counting calories. Most people this is Harvard Medical School. Most people have been taught that weight loss is a matter of simple math. Cut calories, specifically 3,500, and you lose a pound. But as it turns out, experts are learning that this decades-old strategy is totally misguided. They go on to say this idea of a calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist, Harvard Medical School. She goes on to say, drop the calories notion, Stanford said. It's time to take a different approach by concentrating on what's in the food, not how much food you're consuming. Another big one, why you shouldn't count calories. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. And what's even worse is two-thirds of people who try to counter restrict their calories gain back more weight than they lost. So you're going on a diet, did you know that, to gain weight? I got another study here, another one that says why losing weight isn't about cutting calories. Amid the fad diets, calorie restriction continues to be a popular approach. It turns out that cutting calories for weight loss is a misguided strategy that leads to the more unintended weight gain over time. Another one, this one says, don't bother counting calories, it's complete nonsense. Inevitably, notice they use the word inevitably. Inevitably, more than 95% of people will go back to their baseline and many will go above it. They rebound back if they're doing any form of calorie-restricted diet. Please, someone put in the chat, if you don't mind, name a diet that's not based on lowering calories. Because see, even this time-restricted eating, which I told you, well, during that 8 hours you can eat whatever you can. No, you can't. No, you can't. If they had any success at all, it's because they lowered the amount of food again. That's why all these are deceiving us. We have 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. 50% of kids are overweight, and a third of those are pre-diabetic or diabetic. What are we doing? And yet you can go and see real medical proof that you can lose as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet. By the way, no one in these studies was allowed to exercise. So what we're going to concentrate on in this podcast today is just, talking about what works. Diets, I'm not going to waste that much more time on diets. The traditional diets don't work, I don't care what you think. They don't work long term. You can kid yourself, but the medical proof, they're saying it right here. The time-restricted eating did not decrease weight or improve glucose homeostasis compared to universal eating plans, suggesting that any effects of time-restricted eating on weight was based on reducing calories. That's not what they're telling you. I mean, this is the first medical evidence ever. These researchers, the top weight loss researchers in the world for almost 40 years, they did over 100 studies, thousands of people. They came up with this new protocol. They don't sell anything. They don't have a product. So the good news is it's going to be a combination of foods and a new, complete different way of consuming it, not a diet. So let's look at what did they do? How in the world could you lose as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet or lose as much weight in a month? And it's safe weight loss. So before you say, oh my God, it's unhealthy to lose that much weight that fast on a diet. Yes, this is not a diet. It doesn't work like that. See, if you're interested in longevity, I hope we're all interested in longevity. All the studies have said if you can lower the amount of food you consume on a daily basis, you'll live longer with one huge caveat, as long as you don't reduce the nutrition. See, that's all diets are. In case you don't know, it's not about counting calories. The human body doesn't know what a calorie is. We wrote the definitive book back in 2010, Why Diets Are Failing Us. We just said the whole concept of counting calories. Why are we doing that? The human body doesn't know what a calorie is. Why are you counting calories? Because someone told you. What's the cost? Mern. I promise I'll get to that in 1 second. Essentially what these researchers did, they looked at 48 years of almost 40 years of research, and figured that every diet they put people on, it was reducing the amount of food they were consuming. That's a given. So they knew that wasn't working because when they reduced the amount of food, they reduced the amount of nutrition, which triggered the body to burn muscle. So what they did, if you took a month's worth of your food we're spending now, you'd only spend 30% of it at your grocery store with a specific list of proteins, fats, carbs, salads, fruits, etc. Okay? The other 70% of what you're not buying in the supermarket, there are 5 foods that come from around the world that the researchers don't sell you, we don't sell them to you, you buy directly from the suppliers. And typically the 30% from the grocery store and the 70% from the foods they used in the studies, you're going to spend about what you're spending now. But the huge difference is these foods you're talking about come from all over New Zealand. Now, why is that important? Remember what I said, what the fallacy of all diets, when you lower the quantity of food, you lower the nutrition, you trigger the starvation mode, you burn up your muscles, and you gain all your weight back because you've slowed down your metabolism. The foods they found from Russia, among those areas around the world, had tremendous amounts of nutrition, but not tremendous amounts of quantity. So they were able, what was their goal? What was the theory? Could we lower the amount of food people consume, but not lower the amount of nutrition? That was remember, it was a theory. Let me emphasize again, They don't sell you anything. They don't have a product. They're researchers, but they're the top weight loss researchers in the world. Rather than listening to people on TikTok or whatever that are giving you opinions, we don't give you opinions. We don't make claims. We only have the hard medical evidence for you to see if you want. You don't have to. If you want to go on a diet and spend 8 weeks torturing yourself to lose weight, that's the most unhealthy weight you could ever lose. Every diet is like that. Study after study now proving, what are we doing? But those suppliers that supply, 70% of what you're going to spend, they give you 100% money back guarantee in the first 30 days. Try to do that with paleo, keto, Mediterranean, time-restricted eating, all this stuff. No. The downside is they have no medical studies they've ever initiated on their own. The studies I talked to you before about, like time-restricted eating, where you don't eat for 16 hours and eat for 8 in the Annals of Internal Medicine, the people that came up with time-restricted eating didn't do the peer-reviewed studies. Because would you be excited going on time-restricted eating, despite what they're telling you on the internet, and in 12 weeks, they lost 4.6 pounds? Would that excite? Would you do? See, you wouldn't even do it if you knew that in advance. But we're the smoke screen. They're pretending that they have something that works. I get people almost every day on my podcast telling me about, I had one the other day about this low carb super diet, et cetera, was a bestseller. When I looked at it, there's not a shred of evidence. The person promoting it is a promoter, but has no nutritional background. I mean, again, you can do whatever you want to do, but we have 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. Do any of you think diets work? It's nuts. And what's your risk? Oh, I should have told you that when you go to the website, even though we won't contact you because that's not what we do. But if you like what you see, scroll down. It says sign up for a free personal consultation with one of our coaches. Our coaches, they've done the protocol and been trained to answer all your questions. Coaching's free. The evaluation's free. No obligation to have that. Now, if you do decide to do it, that coach will be your coach the whole time for free. I tell people all the time, I said, okay, what am I missing? Because people say, what's the catch? There's no other shoe. There's no catch. What separates this from everything else on social media? We're the only ones with real medical proof of this protocol that was invented by scratch. It was a theory, and who developed it? The top weight loss researchers in the world for nearly 40 years. Who do you want to believe? And see, the thing is, people keep trying to come on here and compare this to things they know, like a diet. It's not a diet. It doesn't work like that. Let me ask you, Sandy or Tricia, how excited would you be if you could lose a whole dress size in 7 days with no exercise? Lose as much weight literally in that first 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet. In a month, you'll lose about as much as you would in a year, lose no water, and gain 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. And what if I told all of you that's the last reason to do this, is the weight loss? I know everybody gets excited about the weight loss and the number. That's the least important part of this. For many of you, it'll be the thing that probably will be the most exciting. Because what else did they discover in what we talked about in Why Diets Are Failing Us? Look, I've written 4 best-selling books all with medical doctors, okay? I've done 20 shows on PBS. I did over 1,500 lectures all over the world, including in China. But I'm not it's not my research. I'm the researcher of the researchers. But what did they find? In 30 days, people's blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglyceride all came down dramatically in 30 days. Hunger came down 41% in 30 days, despite the fact they were still lowering the amount of food, the quantity people were eating, but not the quality, not the dense nutrition, which is what even Harvard Medical School said about, I have the article of here, let me find it. Yeah, right here. Stop counting calories. They said this idea of a calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist, Harvard Medical School. Drop the calories notion. It's time to take a different approach by concentrating on what's in the food, not how much food we're consuming. So it's not an opinion. Even though we wrote this book back in 2010, 14 years ago, everything that we were criticized for because we had pushback. What do you mean the only way to lose weight is to lower calories? Really? Well, the people saying that, the first thing I'd say is, tell me what a calorie is. They couldn't tell me. A calorie is just the amount of heat it takes to raise a gram of water 1 degree Celsius. There's no calories in your food. It's just a measurement. What is in your food that you need to pay attention to is nutrition. Am I making sense to everybody, or just think I'm this mad, crazy person, which I'm not? I'm very passionate. Look, in 22 years, we've helped about 700,000 people lose around 20 million pounds, to give you an idea, okay? This is so dramatic, it's changing people's lives. But I want to be honest, for 20 of my 22 years, despite all the 4 best-selling books, all with MDs, 20 shows on PBS and lectures all over the world, I spoke at universities and hospitals, it meant 0 in the medical world. They said, that's interesting, but we're not interested for our patients. Until a year ago when these 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies came out. See, a peer-reviewed human trial study, there's no higher evaluation in medical research than a peer-reviewed human trial study. No drug ever gets approved without a peer-reviewed human trial study. And yet you're going on diet after diet after diet. This never, on their own, initiated peer-reviewed human trial studies to prove what they're claiming. Because that's the downfall. When you submit yourself to a big medical journal like the Obesity Journal, they don't review your work. They determine if it's worthy to be published. They send it out to other world-class experts, medical doctors and researchers, and their job is to discredit what you're proving. That's why these diet things would never do it. I mean, anybody, put whatever diet you want in the comments. I'll give you the medical proof that it's not going to work long term. You're going to end up at least back to where you started, or you're going to weigh more. You'd be better off not to do the diet in the first place. I mean, for example, I've got a big study here on the shots. I'm not opposed to the shots. Let me clear that up right away. This one happened to be on semaglutide for 68 weeks. So it's a year and 4 months. After a year and 4 months, the average weight loss was 32 pounds, and 40% of the weight loss was lean muscle mass. This is right in the New England Journal. So, see, we're not making things up. We don't have to make things up. And if you go to that, calories is the energy in the good. In the good. I'm not quite sure, Jamie. You need to be. All I can tell you is, Jamie, the human body has no idea what a calorie is. It's the amount of heat it takes to raise a gram of water 1 degree Celsius. What the body cares about is nutrition. Period. End of the story. Not up for debate. See, if calories were the measure. Okay, so let's go with this one, Jamie. Let's just say that I agreed, okay, we're going to lower calories to lose weight, right? So let's say we settled on 1,500 calories a day. I'll give you 2 different examples of diets, why this whole argument about calorie. Harvard Medical School is saying stop counting calories. It's not me saying it. But let's say we went to 1,500 calories, 2 different diets. Behind door number 1, 1,500 calories, lean chicken, fish, salads, etc., 1,500 calories. If all that mattered was the amount of calories, door number 2, 1,500 calories, 3 bags of M&Ms. Do you see the absurdity of that argument? And it doesn't, it's study after study. I mean, it's not just Harvard Medical School. It's why you shouldn't count calories. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, Jamie, it's never been proven to keep weight off long term. They went on to say what's even worse is 2/3 of people who restrict or count calories gain back more weight than they lost. Do whatever you want to do. Believe whatever you want to believe. We believe medical science. We believe medical science. We're not giving you, this is not a this is not an infomercial. This is medical research. The website, you can go there. It's free. See the medical proof yourself, and an interview with the #1 nutritional researcher and weight loss and physiologist in the world for 38 years, who he and his teams have conducted all these studies on diets. And you know what they determined? People lost weight on every diet. But every time when they analyzed, about 40% of what they were losing was lean muscle mass on all these diets. Because the diet is based on reducing the quantity of food, which reduces, forget the calories, it reduces the nutrition. The brain doesn't know what a calorie is. Why the hell are we counting calories? Because someone told us to. Sounds good. That's the jargon out there on the internet. But anybody, look, it's so bad that here's Johns Hopkins Medical School. Study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030, where they're saying 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese by 2030 in 5.5 years. Please, anybody tell me, do you think diets are working? Go to Barnes & Noble. I like Barnes & Noble. Actually, my books are in there. But that isn't the point. The point is, there's so many titles, there's so many, I don't know what the next new one's going to be. Do you think we don't have enough diets? But let's show you the proof why that thing is a smokescreen. Again, let's go to a major medical journal, the Journal of the American Medical Association. Remember, none of this is my opinion. None of this is the opinion of the New Health Conversation. We're going to read to you from the real medical research. So the Journal of the American Medical Association did a study, listen to this, on 48 different studies, 7,286 people on every diet you could name, from paleo to keto to Mediterranean to time-restricted eating, Jenny Craig Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, Cornish diet, the Zone diet, lose weight for your blood type. What did they find after 12 months? After 12 months, when we compared the amount of weight lost, the most amount of weight loss to the least amount of weight lost in a year, it was 10 ounces. You heard me. And the average weight loss was about 16 pounds, and up to 40% of what people lost, it didn't matter what the diet was lean muscle mass. They're telling us that's as good as we can do. They're telling us that's a good outcome. Well, wait a minute. These people with no exercise lost 16 pounds in a month and gained 6 to 9% lean. Not only didn't they lose any lean muscle, they gained 6 to 9. There's no diet that's ever done that, let alone the medical improvement. Blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides, all down dramatically in just 30 days. Hunger went down 41%. And in 8 weeks, they shrank the belly fat. Actually, it's called visceral fat. It's the underlying fat wrapped around all of our organs by 33%. No one was allowed to exercise. I'd love for anybody to try and show me any other thing, even on the same zip code as that. These researchers looked at about every diet there was over almost 40 years. None of them work long-term. None. Zero. And that's what they said in that one study. That counting calories, restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, but the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. So why do we continue to lower calories to lose weight, thinking it's going to work in the long run? Because it doesn't work. Please, help me here. If 80% of Americans are overweight, 50% are obese, and 50% are pre-diabetic, can anybody explain to me why you think the diets might work? When in 2008, it was only 60% overweight and obese. So in 16 years, right, it's gone from 60% to it's 80% today. So that's almost like a not quite 40% increase. But by in 5 more years, so that would be from 2008 to 2030, that's 22 years, it's going from 60% to 86%. Now we're talking like a 45. You got to understand, it keeps getting worse. The more diets we have, we're getting bigger, and we're the most overfed, listen to me, overfed and undernourished society on the planet. My God, we consume something like 70 or 80% of the prescription drugs in the world. We're like 3 or 4% of the population. I mean, what are we doing? And by the way, we're not treating, curing, diagnosing any medical conditions. And we're not replacing drugs. We're working in conjunction with. Thank God we have these drugs. I mean, if we have 50% of people already pre-diabetic and we already have insulin shortages, how do you think this is going to turn out, ladies and gentlemen? And I'm going to tell you something stunning. The main reason to do this is not to lose weight. Now, that's the glamour shot, right? That's what everybody wants to do. But I'll explain something that this is a new medical syndrome that I have and you have and every person in the world. It's called the TDOS syndrome. The T is for toxicity, the D is for deficiency, the O is for overweight, the S is for stress. It's a registered trademark, U.S. Patent Office, recognizes new medical condition. What does it mean in layman's terms? It means that we now know that we're breathing, drinking, eating chemicals. Herbicides, pesticides, Scotch Guard, Teflon, and even plastics. Maybe you all saw the thing on Starbucks coffee about 3 months ago where they said in each cup of Starbucks coffee, and like Starbucks coffee, they had between 50 and 100,000 microplastics in every cup of coffee. This is what's really going on, ladies and gentlemen. What influencers are talking to you about storing about the TDOS syndrome? I mean, I doubt most of you have ever probably heard of it until today. So this is a much bigger discussion than us just getting bigger, and that's not a pun. What people don't understand is the fact that the medical experts now are saying, they said apocalypse within 5 years. I mean, they didn't say pandemic, they didn't say epidemic, they said apocalypse? So what are we doing? There's a lot of people, with all due respect, on social media. You can follow whoever you want. But I challenge you, as any of them ever showed you one shred of medical proof. See, don't tell me about a scientific paper. Don't tell me about a clinical study on mice and rats. For example, this big thing around, time-restricted eating, where you don't eat for 16 hours, you eat 8. The first studies were done on rats and mice. There have only been a couple human studies now, and I read that before when I started. This is in the Annals of Internal Medicine, a new study that just came out, where in 3 months, people lost 4.6 pounds on doing this time-restricted eating. But they went on to say in the setting of the isocaloric eating, time-restricted eating did not decrease weight or improve glucose homeostasis relative to universal eating pattern, meaning just lowering calories, suggesting that any effects of time-restricted eating on weight in prior studies was only due to reductions in calories. That's not what you're telling you. They're telling you, eat 8 hours, you can have whatever you want. No, if they're losing weight, they've lowered calories. But that alone is one of the most unhealthy things you could ever do to yourself. Because your body, you see, we have a minimum amount of nutrition that the brain senses everything's cool. We got enough fuel now for the brain first, the heart, the lungs, the liver, the kidney, etc. It's nutrition. It's not calories. So what happens when you go on a diet and you lower the amount of food you're consuming, because that's all a diet is, what else are you lowering? You're lowering nutrition. Well, guess what the brain does? It goes to survival mode, prevents you from burning fat, and turns your muscles into fuel, slowing down your metabolism. That's why you plateau and die. That's why you gain everything back. But worse, it also interferes with your own immune system. Losing lean muscle diminishes the effectiveness of your own immune system. So your diet, it's not doing something for you. It's doing something to you. Now, your measurement is that number on the scale, and you're in your skinny jeans. But for how long? How long does it take you to gain all the weight back? Obviously, there's some exceptions, but overall, it's a complete and utter disaster, counting calories. I mean, seriously, how quickly do you want to lose weight safely? But the key is to keep it. I lost 40 pounds 21 years ago. I've kept it off for 21 years. The protocol these scientists invented is called R2M, race to maintenance. So the goal is to get you to your goal weight, but that's the end of the beginning. The essence of it is to teach you how to maintain your success for the rest of your life. Isn't that what should matter to you? And again, you can believe, do whatever you want to do, follow these, but they're all telling you the same thing. I see them all the time coming on, and it's paleo. It's just some form of lowering, they're counting calories, which is nuts. I don't hear any of them talking about nutritional density. Maybe they are, but I haven't, and believe me, I go on all the social media platforms and Google, weight loss and all these kind of things, and I see the same mantra. The only way to lose weight is to lower calories. Well, we get study after study saying that's ridiculous. It doesn't work. So, okay. How do I get this info? Okay, Carrie, let me put it in the... I'm sorry, everybody gets so wound up, I forget to follow the comments. So, apologize. Okay, wait, hold on. Let me scroll back up here. I missed a whole bunch of people. So, calories is the energy and the good. I don't know what that means. How do we order your product? It's not my product. I don't sell it to you. You get to buy it directly from the manufacturer, from the suppliers to the studies. So, Grace, if at the very bottom, I just put it down. You see the new health conversation. What you do, it's a free website. You go there. We want you to see all the medical proof first. See, we're not tricking people. So, Grace, you get to go there. We won't contact you if you go there, but if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see it says sign up for a free personal consultation with one of our coaches. That's totally free. If you decide to do it, you'll get a coach for free. So for all of you to understand about how this works, you're buying nothing from the researchers who did this. You're buying nothing from us. No, you're buying directly from the suppliers who supplied these 5 food groups to the researchers in the studies. But the researchers don't sell anything. They don't have a product. They're scientists, okay? And we're the researcher of the researchers. And so the 5 foods that you would get represent, right now, take all the money you spend on food. Take 30% of it, that's all you're going to buy from the grocery store. The other 70% you're going to buy from these 5 foods directly from the suppliers. Oh, and by the way, one small caveat here. Those suppliers that supply those 5 foods, they give you 100% money back guarantee in the first 30 days. Like, no kidding. All right, they'll even pay return shipping. because nothing's 100%, but they want people to be comfortable that you have no risk here. Your risk is you let your skepticism about, well, the only way to lose weight is to lower calories. Really? Anyway, Carrie, the same thing for you. You can see the new health conversation. Oh, wonderful. And then Carrie, give the you haven't said. Okay, Carrie, you said, I haven't said how. I promise I'll do that right now for you. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any other comments. So Vanessa wanted to know, what is it? What do you offer? How do I get this info? Okay, so let me bring you up to speed. So it's important, take a little bit of time. I'm not going to rush through this because it's too important that you understand why this works. Number one, it was developed by what are considered to be the world's number one weight loss, nutrition, and physiologist in the world for nearly 40 years, having done over 100 studies, thousands. They are recognized as the top people in the world. Okay, like the head, I can tell you right now, the head person, the head scientist who did this, he's speaking in New York in front of 1,000 doctors tomorrow. They're getting calls from all over the world. This has made all diets obsolete. So, using their knowledge after 40 years, guess what they figured out? Why diets are failing us, although they had nothing to do with writing my book. I wrote this first book in 2010 with a medical doctor, and we proved that the whole concept of dieting and lowering calories was obsolete. Now we have big major backup, nothing to do with us, but Harvard Medical School, etc. So what they determined was on every diet they put people on, it was some form of reducing the quantity of food people were consuming. What happened with that was they proved when the body had less food, it also had less nutrition, which triggered survival mode. And they did almost 40 years of studies. Every time people were losing up to 40% of lean muscle mass and gaining back more weight than they lost. So here was the theory. Could we lower the quantity of food you'd be consuming, but not lower the nutrition? Okay? So step number one, they had to solve that problem. And they solved it by limiting the amount of food you would consume to only 30% you buy from the grocery store. Because in case you didn't know it, our food in this country is becoming all but nutritionally bankrupt. We wrote about it in this book. The D is for nutritional deficiency, T for toxins, D for deficiency, O for overweight, and S is for stress. So only 30% of the food, and you get a food list, fats, proteins, carbs, salads, etc., a long list of choices that you get to eat, okay? Then the 70% of what you would buy are these 5 foods that come from these suppliers, from these foods around the world that have tremendous amounts of nutrition, but not huge amounts of quantity. So now you have the ingredients. That's only 50% of it. What the researchers did, and this will blow your minds, they created a totally different way of eating, completely opposite of anything we'd ever heard of. They started the day with these 5 foods, which the researchers have named. They've said it's the world's most perfect meal. Okay? World's most perfect meal. So what they did on the protocol, 5 days a week, they did this protein pacing, starting with the world's most perfect meal. Lunch from the grocery list, dinner from the grocery list. Now watch this, a 4th meal. 4 meals a day, not 2, not 1, not 3, 4, spread out of about, let's say, 12 to 14 hours. That was 5 days a week. That's called protein pacing. Then 2 days a week, they had people do, now this will sound like an oxymoron, it's not, intermittent nutritional fasting, not time restricted eating, nothing to do with any of that nonsense. That's what they did. And what happened? Men and women were not allowed to exercise because the research didn't want exercise to be an outlier. What happened? In 7 days, men and women, 80% women in the studies, by the way, 20% men, people lost weight in 7 days. It took 8 weeks on any diet these researchers had looked at in nearly 40 years. So they were comparing it to what they had actually seen practically. And in a month, people lost as much weight as people were losing in a year, with no loss of water and gaining 6 to 9% lean muscle mass with no exercise allowed. But that's not the main reason to do it. As I said before, imagine in just 30 days, people's blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides, inflammation. I lost my mind. Blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides all came down dramatically in 30 days. Inflammation, for the first time ever, and in case you didn't know, inflammation, the underlying cause of every disease out there, according to the medical community, it came down 25% in 30 days. So you know those minor aches and pains and the stiffness? Gone. But that wasn't even the big thing. The big thing was that this TDOS syndrome, which I have, you have, what does it mean? It means that we're storing pesticides and herbicides and Scotchgard and Teflon and flame retardants and plastics in our body, in our fat cells. Well, in the studies, what they proved through blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, that this protocol was assisting the body in removing chemicals from us. That's the main reason to do this. The weight loss is a throw-in. That's going to happen anyway. But imagine having amazing amounts of energy, less mental fog, all these things. These chemicals are doing things to us. It's not my opinion, because the world didn't even know we were storing chemicals in our body till 2005, Mount Sinai Medical School in New York. Listen to what the experts are now saying. So 2005, so 19 years later, they've had time to assess what these chemicals are doing to us. So let me read from the experts. The Endocrine Society, the largest organization of experts devoted to the research on hormones and the clinical practice of endocrinology, reports that the rise in the incidence of obesity matches the rise in the use and distribution of industrialized chemicals. These chemicals have a name. They call them obesogens. Yeah, like in obesity. Listen to this. Simply put, obesogens are chemicals that disrupt the function of our hormonal system, leading to weight gain and many of the diseases that curse the American populace. They enter our body in a variety of ways, from natural compounds in soy, hormones fed to animals, plastics in packaging, chemicals added to processed food, and pesticides sprayed on produce. They act in a variety of ways, mimicking hormones such as estrogen, ladies, okay? Blocking the action of other hormones such as testosterone, and essentially reprogram us to gain weight. What are you doing about obesogens? Which diet are you on that removes obesogens? None, zero, until now. You have to understand, there's no equivalent to this. After almost 40 years of research, they're blown away. And we have this medical proof. It's not a infomercial. This is real. That's why we give you. There's no waffle, Carrie, then don't waste your money, don't waste your time. Without doing it with a coach, you're completely wasting your time, okay? So I couldn't be more serious. We don't want to rip people off. It will not work. I agree with you, but can't get the info. I don't understand. What do you mean? Carrie, did you look when you were there? It said how to do the R2M protocol. There's a 30-minute video showing you exactly. There's an interview with the #1 researcher in the world. But you have to understand, we're not tricking people. This is not getting you to buy the food. No. We coach you. We teach you. Because again, we don't know anything about you. Because obviously, we have kids as young as 2 doing this, people that are 90. We have people in all kinds of medical conditions. The coaching's free, for crying out loud. I don't know what other info you would want to get. I'd be happy to provide it. But that website is designed to give you. Again, there's it's 20 or 30-minute video showing you exactly what they did. But the interview with the #1 researcher in the world, that's what you want to watch, not me. I don't want you to believe Peter Greenlaw. I didn't do the research. They did. So give the info. You haven't said how. I did that. I just signed up into the website. I agree with you, but can't get the info, okay? It says watch podcasts and get a coach. I'll take another look. It actually says on there, let me show you again. Sorry. I'm showing everybody the website now, okay? So #1 is the interview with the 2, video explanation. Let's click on how to do the R2M protocol, what's in it and why it's not a diet. And then below that, you can see #3, the actual studies, and #4, the before and after pictures. So please go back there. I promise. This is not a pig in a poke. We're not here to convince you or sell you. We're here to educate you. We don't want you to make a decision until you realize what this could do for you, not to you. That's a big difference, okay? So I apologize if there was any misunderstanding. You all can go there. The whole idea is to let you see everything so you can make a decision one way or another. If you don't sign up for a free consultation, but we're not going to let anybody do this without a coach. Because this is not like we're going to give you recipes. It's completely different and then say you have medical challenges. We have diabetics, we have people with high blood pressure, we have people with, all kinds of challenges. And the coach is there. It's not just some gimmick, okay? The coaching's 100% free. It's like if you went to the gym and worked out and they offered you a free personal trainer, would you not take it? I'm not talking to you, Carrie. I'm just talking in general to everyone. We know what we're doing. We've been doing this for 22 years and have helped over 700,000 people lose around 20 million pounds. You're not an experiment, but it's not fair to you. We're going to go the extra mile to coach you. It doesn't cost you anything to do that. So hopefully that'll help. But if you go back there, Carrie, please spend a little bit more time and look at there's the explanation, their actual studies, but the interview with the #1 weight loss researcher in the world, that's really what you want to watch, okay? Wow. So now, Rachel, that is amazing. I'm 17 days on this program. I've lost 11 pounds and 30 inches so far. I promise Rachel, I don't know you. I don't. Not maybe that's good. But Rachel, how has been your experience? Do you agree? Did the website answer most of your questions? Rachel, let me ask you a question. How important is coaching to you? Who is your coach? And Rachel, are you blown away? When was the last time you ever lost 11 pounds? I mean, let alone 17 days. Yeah, Carrie, look at what she did. You see there? 17 days, 11 pounds, 30 inches. See, that's the other thing, ladies and gentlemen. We have your measure from your neck to your ankles because we have the proof in the medical styles. The fat shrank by 33% in 8 weeks with no exercise. She's already shrunk through it, but that's from her head to her toes. Michael, you got a really good, how valuable is the coaching? Do you agree, Rachel, doing this without a coach? Why would you do that? Do you agree that coaching has real value and they're very supportive and education at the same time? See, this is what's great, Carrie. I don't know this person, I promise. It's not a setup. Because we get people that, saw me on one of my lives before and they come back on and I don't know why. It's maybe I'm entertaining or I'm funny or they want to make fun of me. It doesn't matter, right? Oh, Sheila McConnell. Okay, Michael is my coach. So again, Rachel, how valuable has the coaching been? And would you encourage Carrie to understand it's not a pig in a poke? You're not just buying something and then you get abandoned. That's not how this works, right? I love this program. I'm a registered nurse, and this is the best program. Wow, she's a registered nurse. That's even better. But do you all understand now, Carrie? This is real. This is not some mystery. I know other programs, they want to sell you. I saw somebody trying to sell you like 1,000 recipes. What? Did they ever mention what's in the recipe in terms of the nutritional density? I don't think so. It's almost like comical in a sense that people are so desperate to lose weight, they believe things that just aren't provable in medical science. Diets don't work long term. Wow. Wow, Rachel. I didn't know that is fantastic. Well, obviously get with Michael and Sheila and they can help you with that. I mean, Rachel, how much? I think, I'm not sure. I swear I've never talked. See? Look, everyone, I swear I've never talked to Peter. Maybe she'll never talk to me again. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, please understand, we're here to help you. And everything we're doing is like to give you the medical proof, an interview with the #1 nutritional weight loss researcher in the world, telling you, you know what they said in the interview, I heard him say, Carrie, if you go there, he says, they'll never, ever recommend a traditional diet to anybody ever again. He said it would be an injustice and unethical. He said, Peter, why would we put Carrie on a diet to take 8 weeks to lose weight in the most unhealthy way when she can do it in a week? I mean, look at how much weight Rachel, I mean, my God, Carrie, look how much Rachel lost. I mean, it's really exciting. I mean, that's just crazy good. Oh my gosh. Coaching is a must and the Blueprint for Success is an amazing tool. Oh, let me show that to you, Carrie, and everybody else. So when you do it, we developed this in conjunction with the researchers. It's called the Blueprint for Success. What she's referring to is that all these yellows are videos with the researchers explaining to you, but they don't sell anything. They have no dog in this hunt other than they want their research to get out there. They've spent almost 40 years of their lives trying to find this solution. But there's, you know what my biggest problem is, Carrie? It sounds too good to be true. And people want to put it in a box with things that they know, like, okay, well, let's just, no, 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 no. It's the complication is because it works. Would you rather, you can go on a simple diet and count calories and you're going to lose weight and gain it all back the minute, well, not the minute, but pretty quickly after you lose it, right? Carrie, average cost. Rachel, would you say that if you looked at how much you were spending on food before, plus, part of you got the food list to buy from the grocery store and the other 70% from these foods around the world, aren't you spending pretty much what you were spending before on food that doesn't even come close to this? I don't want to put words in your mouth. I don't know. I've never met you before. So you can answer any way you want to. But understand something, Carrie, that you're not you're only buying 30% of the food you're buying now. And the other 70% of your budget goes towards these 5 foods. Without those 5 foods from around the world, it wouldn't work. The researchers proved that for 40 years. They gave people organic food. It didn't work. It never worked. Never worked. That's why we have 80% of America overweight and 50% are obese and 50%. Oh, Carrie's in the UK. Even better. She's in the United Kingdom. Listen to Peter, guys. You will not regret it. Okay. Carrie, once your free consultation, they go over. Okay. Rachel's doing my job for me. The nutrition and cleanliness in this. Why is it food from other countries? Donna, why is it food from other countries? Because in case you didn't know it, well, anyway, this book that I wrote, which is a registered trademark U.S. Patent Office, T for toxins, D for nutritional deficiency, O for being overweight, and S. So let me give you a couple examples. In 200 studies where they looked at organic food and compared it just to regular food in the supermarket, it was slightly better nutritionally. The only reason to eat organic is it's less polluted. So what we now know, Donna, is that the food, let me give you an example. Cornell University did a study on spinach from 1953 to 2022, let's say. They estimate the iron levels in your spinach that you're buying, even if it's organic, have decreased, you ready for this, by 4,300%. If we took an orange from 30 years ago today, you have to eat about 6 oranges to equal 1 orange from 30 years ago. An apple, you have to eat between 8 and 12 apples to equal the nutrition, not the calories, not the bulk, not the quantity. Our food in this country, Donna, is becoming more and more nutritionally deficient. So this is why diets can't possibly work. Our body has a minimum amount, not of calories, it doesn't know what a calorie is. It has a minimum amount of nutrition that the brain calculates is enough to run all of our organs, our brain, our heart, our lungs, our kidneys, our pancreas, etc. Okay? When you're going on so the food already is really marginal, okay? Now people go on diets, they lower the quantity of that food. What else are they lowering? The nutrition in food that's barely above the nutritional minimums. And what does the body do? It freaks out, goes in starvation mode, prevents you from burning fat and converts your muscles for fuel, for survival. And then it slows down your metabolism. And that's why you gain all the weight back. And secondly, the other thing it does when you lose lean muscle, it absolutely impacts your immune system. So that's why food from this kind, these researchers, they've been doing this for almost 40 years. They did all organic and all those studies over all that time. That's what they concluded. The problem was the food was already almost nutritionally bankrupt, and now they lowered the amount of food they gave people. And every person, every diet gained back almost all their weight, and about 40% of it was lean muscle mass. I'm not making anything up. This is real scientific proof. And what's so amazing about this, Donna, these studies that incorporated only 30% of the food you'd buy from the grocery store, the other 70% are from these 5 foods from around the world for the reasons I just stated. And so what happens is they were able to lower the quantity of the food people consume, but they didn't lower the nutrition, because these foods from Russia, Mongolia, Manchuria, Tibet, and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand had tremendous amounts, not of quantity, quality. So they were able to lower the amount of food people consumed or you'd consume, but they didn't lower the amount of nutrition, if that makes sense. Look, that's the thing, Donna. Good. Donna, it's food. Let's call it. How can I explain it to you? Let's start. I'm going to tell you what the researchers have said. Their goal was, could we create the world's most perfect meal? Let's start with that. Strictly based on nutrients, okay? So let me explain what they were getting at. One of the things we're the most deficient in this country in our food are what are called trace ionic minerals. There are 70 that we need, 70. In the best organic you would buy today, Donna, why can't you do food from the kind? You get 20 out of 70 of these trace ionic minerals. What are trace ionic minerals? Things like gold and silver and zinc and boron and beryllium and selenium and molybdenum. So imagine, doesn't matter how much you eat, you're still getting 20. What about the other 50 that we need? Because these trace minerals have been called the spark plugs of life. Yeah, that's pretty important, isn't it? So it'd be like your car with 8 cylinders. You unplug 6 of your cylinders. That car would still run, but not very efficient. That's what we're doing in our bodies. That's why we're never full. Because we're not hungry for calories. The human body doesn't know what a calorie is. It knows what nutrition is. So one of the things that these researchers found was a food source with all 70 minerals, trace minerals. Secondly, the other thing we're the most deficient in, believe it or not, are amino acids, which have been called the building blocks of life. There are 9 essential amino acids. You have to get them from your diet, and the other 11 are non-essential. How do we get amino acids? The only way to get amino acids is from protein, from plants or animals. Well, in Europe, they developed a new measurement through blood, stool, urine, and fat. When you ingest a protein from plants or an animal, you get all 20 aminos. So you think that's great. Well, the problem with that is in Europe, they were able to measure what percentage, 0 to 100, of the 20 amino acids were being used by the body to make human protein. You see, because protein itself is actually a toxin to our body, believe it or not. It's like the walnut shell. It houses the amino acids. When we ingest it, the body breaks open and extracts the amino acids. Well, it's pretty inefficient because in a plant-based protein, and it'll make vegans mad, I'm sorry, I'm just a scientist, the maximum absorption from plants is 10% out of 100. With all steak, chicken, liver, fish, etc., it's 30%. Now, wait a minute, what about the other part? The other part, excuse me. So in the case of meat, for example, 70% is turned into toxins called nitrogen catabolites that the kidneys have to get rid of. The researchers found a source where the absorption of the amino acids was 91%. Which would you rather take? 30%. Now, but again, it's still back to what was their philosophy. This world's most perfect meal was going to make up for the lack of nutrition. And it's not supplements. It's not a pill you take. Okay. And then they had these other food group that came from all the way from Mongolia and Manchuria that had something called adaptogens. What the heck are adaptogens? Adaptogens lower stress. None of us have any stress, of course, but also lower inflammation. And we have the medical proof. Inflammation went down 25% in 30 days. The last thing they found was what are called naturally occurring vitamins. Now, I know you might say, hey, not you, but in general, people taking, multiple vitamins. They're all made in the lab. For the most part, they're almost all made in the lab. They're synthetic. So again, when the researchers are assembling the world's most perfect meal, they covered all these bases. So then when they put people on the protocol, because this is what they had people do, 5 days a week, they did something called protein pacing. What the heck's that? Completely different way of eating food. What they did, they started the day with the world's most perfect meal, no food from the grocery store, lunch from the grocery store, dinner from the grocery store, and then a fourth meal. You're having 4 meals a day. And what's the fourth meal? The world's most perfect food again. Then 2 days, so that's 5 days a week. 2 days a week, they did something called intermittent nutritional fasting. What I said, intermittent nutritional fasting, not time restricted eating. On those days, no food from the grocery store list, only the world's most perfect meals 4 times a day again, 4 times a day. See, the name of this program is, the research is called R2M, Race to Maintenance. So the idea is to get your weight off you, get your goal, but that's the end of the beginning. The absolute key to this is maintenance. Donna, I lost 40 pounds 21 years ago. I've kept it off for 21 years. Actually, I guess it's 22 years now. I lost track. It's coming up on 22 years. Donna, I know it's hard to believe that something like this exists, but what we do, the reason we give you the free website to go to see the medical proof, no tricks, no gimmicks. If you go to our website, we won't contact you. The only way we'll contact you is if you contact us. Scroll down the bottom and sign up, and you can put in the notes, want a free consultation, or I have more questions, or answer more. But almost everything is answered on the website. But the coach is there because we have kids as young as 2, people that are 90. We have people that, in all kinds of medical, and we don't treat, cure, diagnose, or make any medical proclamations. But we need to know if you're a diabetic, that's going to probably be different than if you maybe have high blood pressure. For example, those are just, generally broad, because in the studies in 30 days, people's blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides came down to, in 30 days, not 30 weeks, not 4 months, 30 days. And hunger came down 41%. And people shrank their belly fat by 33% in 8 weeks. No one was allowed to exercise. Whether it's Donna or anybody else, I'd love for anybody to put in the chat a diet that you think works like this, because this isn't even a diet. And the main thing this does, back to these chemicals that we're storing in our body in the TDOS syndrome, they did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis proving that this protocol was assisting our own body in removing herbicides and pesticides and Scotchgard and Teflon and even plastics from our bodies. That's why you should do this. The losing weight part, it's like we joke. I know it gets everybody really excited because that number on the scale, oh my God, this is amazing. Well, the first thing you need to know is it's completely safe. Even though people would say, oh, it's unhealthy to lose that much weight that fast on a diet. I agree. This is not a diet. Does this make sense to everyone? Am I making perfect sense? So who else would like to ask me a question? So hopefully, Rachel, thank you very much for your input. My God, Rachel, it's got to be like, 11 o'clock at night in the UK? I loved England. About a long time ago, I went over there every month for 10 days for a year. And Rachel, you'll appreciate this. Only once did I get rained on. I used to run in Kensington Park. Oh my God, you have the greenest country in the world. And the only thing that I had trouble with was the warm beer. Other than that, I'm good. But yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful country. I loved it. Oh, Rachel, I'm in Indiana. Okay. Kira's from the UK. Oh, Carrie's from the UK. I'm sorry. I'm all mixed up. I'm sorry. I've been doing too many of these today. But to Jasmine or Grace, do you have any questions for me? The most important thing for all of you, I'm going to put it on the bottom again, because everybody says, how can I find out about it, etc. Okay. So what we've done, we've set up a free, this is a medical website. There's nothing to buy on the website. The only thing there you can see, the new health conversation, is the medical proof. And if you go there, we won't contact you, but you can go there and you can actually sign up for a free personal consultation with one of our coaches. It's not a gimmick. It's not a trick. They're not there to sell you. They're not there to convince you. We believe if you go to the website and go through all the medical proof that's there, you'll want to set up a personal consultation. The coaching's free, not just the consultation, but all the way through, okay? And here would be your goal. How quickly do you want to and safely lose weight? Like I said, in 10 peer-reviewed human trials, participants lost weight in a week, taking 8 weeks on diets while gaining 6 to 9% lean muscle. That's not a misprint. That's actually, as a matter of fact, if I told you the best part, then you really think I'm crazier than you probably already think I am. They have an expression, just give us 4 days. Why? Because men and women in 4 days typically lost as much weight in 4 days as in 4 weeks of any diet. Now, granted, in 7 days, they lost as much weight in 8 weeks. But how excited would you be if you stood on the scale? Other than the fact on the 5th morning when you stand on the scale, we literally have people calling us and saying, you know what? My scale broke. I need to go buy a new scale. Well, how excited would any of you be if you could lose as much weight in 4 days as in 4 weeks of dieting? And it's safe and you feel good and you have energy. Because what are you doing? You're assisting your body in detoxification. The weight loss is like the throw-in. But the key is to be able to maintain it. Do all of you understand? It's as simple, maintenance. You want to know how simple it is? Breakfast becomes the world's most perfect meal. That's it. But we do suggest maybe once every 2 or 3 months, do another 48-hour intermittent nutritional fast, because of the fact that the toxins aren't going on vacation and you certainly aren't going to get them all out. Look, we have a gentleman right now that he's 30-something, 5'11", he weighs 650 pounds. Well, he did. Now he doesn't weigh 650 anymore, obviously. But I would say the average weight loss is between 30 and 80, 90. I mean, it's just become so routine and standard now that, and the thing is that people end up settling for, they're so happy on a diet if they can lose like 10 or 15 pounds, where it was, let me make sure I got this correct here. It was Rachel, okay, she lost 11 pounds and 30 inches in 17 days, just to let you all know. And Rachel, you're from Indiana. Okay, I'm terribly sorry. That's why I was thinking Carrie's from the UK. So, and Carrie, we are in the UK, just to let you know, okay? But Grace or to Jasmine, or would anybody else like to ask me another question? Because I'm happy to answer them. This is what we're here for, right? Lawrence, yay. That's all you said was yay. That's good. I'll take any compliments that I can certainly get. But again, am I making sense to everybody? Let's review. Diets, conventional diets, lowering calories don't work. Let me review just so you know that I'm not making up anything. I want to read to you from one of these big studies where the title is, hold on, why, listen to this, why you shouldn't count calories. They said, this is not my opinion, hold on. They said, while counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. What's even worse is 2/3 of people who go on diets end up gaining more weight than they lost, because diets are flawed for this reason. Our food in this country is marginal from a nutritional standpoint, because that's the only thing your body cares about. It doesn't know what a calorie is. It doesn't count calories despite you counting calories. And we have a minimum amount of nutrition that runs our organs, the brain, heart, kidney, liver, etc. When you go on a diet, you're lowering the amount of food you're consuming, you're lowering the amount of nutrition. The brain figures it's in panic, it's in starvation mode, prevents you from burning fat, turns to your muscles for fuel, and slows down your metabolism. So now you gain all your weight back when you're done, or you plateau, or worse, it also interferes with your own immune system. One of my colleagues is one of the top oncologists in the world. And I don't want you to buy my book. So I'm not showing you this book for you to buy it. Matter of fact, you go to the website, there's no books on there. You can't buy books. But we wrote this book called Your Third Brain. He's one of the top oncologists in the world and a molecular biologist. And he worked with two men who won the Nobel Prize in medicine. And sadly, in 2011, my younger brother was diagnosed with kidney cancer. And the 8-month journey ended, he was 6'4", and when he passed away, he weighed 112 pounds. He lost all his lean muscle mass. And when you lose lean muscle, that's the one thing my colleague taught me. When someone has cancer, one of the things we work on is, can we prevent them from losing lean muscle? We're not curing cancer. Don't hear anybody say that. That's not it. But again, if we know that that's something that can extend their quality of life, then that's a really good thing to do. But you have to understand, on all these diets, the only thing, well, up to 40, not all, but 40% of what you're losing is lean muscle mass, which slows your metabolism down, slows down your immune system. You can see how bad that is. And you're torturing yourself on these diets by counting calories or doing, time restricted eating. And when you look at the medical research, and I know it's a big buzz right now, this time restricted eating where you don't eat for 18, you eat for 8 and don't eat for 16 hours. Well, here's a big study just published in Annals of Internal Medicine, one of the top medical journals of the world. See, we don't give you opinions. We don't make claims. We give you the proof. So what they did in this study, which was 12 weeks, at 12 weeks, the amount of weight loss by time restricted eating was only 4.6 pounds. When they compared it to people that just went on lowering calories, they lost 5 pounds. So the people who just lowered calories lost more weight. So 4.6 pounds by doing intermittent time restricted eating, and 5.2 pounds by lowering calories. But listen to what they said. In the setting of an isocaloric eating, time restricted eating did not, listen to me, did not decrease weight or improve glucose homeostasis relative to the conventional diet of lowering calories, suggesting that any effects of time-restricted eating are based on reductions in calories. But that's not what they're telling you. And it's not the only study. Another big study, I have it over here, this will hopefully shock you as well, so that you know that I'm not making up things. I don't have to make up things. Main thing. Oh, here it is. Okay. So this was published in the Journal of the American Medical Association. Listen to what they said. Time-restricted eating, the new research found that overweight adults who were assigned to routinely fast 16 hours daily over the course of 3 months gained almost no benefit from it. And over the course of 3 months, they lost between 2 and 3.5 pounds. And here's the bad part. And most of the weight they shed was not body fat, but lean muscle mass. Do you know the first studies done on this? They were done on mice and rats, and people went on. They're still going on. I see influencers with 1 million followers selling you recipes, time-restricted eating. Not one shred of medical evidence, of course. Why would we do that? And the only thing we can look in a society where 80% of America's overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic, 50% of our kids overweight, and 33% of those pre-diabetic. I mean, honestly, does anyone think this is working? I'd love you to tell me in the comments about what diet works. That's what's so great about this. This is the first medical proof ever of this breakthrough, which isn't even a diet. Isn't that refreshing? I mean, imagine your hunger goes down 41% in a month on a diet. At the end of a month, you're ready to eat your couch. You know what? I know it's too good to be true. I also know the more medical proof I give you, the more skeptical you become. See, you're trying to compare it to diets. Don't do that. Look, at a minimum, don't you owe it to yourself? Spend a little bit of time. Go to the website where we're not going to contact you. You know who's calling you. There's nothing to buy on that website. Not my books. There's no celebrity endorsements. It's just the medical proof. And an interview with the #1 nutritional weight loss research physiologist in the world for 38 years. He's recognized. As the top people in the world. Would you like to listen? I don't want you to believe Peter Greenlaw. Why? I'm the researcher of the researchers. It's not my research. But would you listen to the #1 weight loss nutritionist, research, and physiologist in the world? For those who don't understand what a physiologist is, what they do, see, there's nutritionists, that's great. They're telling you about what to consume, but a physiologist looks at the impact of those nutrients inside your body. These are the top people in the world, and yet they help develop, if you did it, this is called the Blueprint of Success, which these are daily, I know you can't read them, these are videos of them explaining to you exactly what's going on. And let me explain something to you. They don't make anything. They're not selling anything. They don't have any products. They don't have a company. They're researchers. But they said, we've pursued this for nearly 40 years, looking for the silver bullet for obesity, weight, and health. They found it, they proved it, and now they want to make it let the public have access to it. But they're not selling you anything. We're not selling you anything, but we are educating you. Because it's not just a matter, you got to understand, like the Blueprint for Success, these are not recipes. These are telling you, for example, what to eat, when to eat, what the quantity, it's all laid out. There's no guesswork. Now, is it different than anything you've done before? Absolutely. But does that make it bad? Because again, most women lose a whole dress size in 7 days with no exercise. I'd love for any of you ladies to put in the chat, how much would that excite you if you could lose a whole dress size in 7 days with no exercise? Like I said, I know that it's too good to be true, and people think there's a catch in another shoe. There's no other shoe. Because again, why would we let you see everything up front, all the medical proof, if we were trying to trick you? The trick would be, well, sign up for a free consultation, then we'll show you. No. I see other people doing that. We're not doing that. You know why? Because we have the irrefutable medical proof that nobody else has. Don't you owe it to yourself? Aren't you a little bit curious? I don't know. I just think that, again, who else would like to ask me a question? We got Jasmine Grace, we got T Left. I think Grace did ask me a question, actually. Did she? I'm not sure. Let me scroll back up here a moment. No, I guess not. Sorry. But were you all on when Rachel, who's on here, who I don't know, I've never met her, I've never talked to her in my life. Let me go back up where Rachel said, she said, Rachel, in 17 days on this program, I've lost 11 pounds and 30 inches so far in 17. That's a week and 2 weeks and 3 days. How many of you ever, anybody put in the chat, how long has it taken you to lose 11 pounds, let alone the inches? When you go to the website, you'll see before and afters. You will swear we photoshopped. Because there are women and men on there who lost like 100 pounds, no loose skin. There are athletes on there in 11 days. When you see their before and after, that Peter Greenlaw, he photoshopped these. I have no idea how to Photoshop anything. I'm so new to high tech. It's like, I'm so blessed that I discovered TikTok and social media, because before COVID, I'd done 1,500 lectures all over the world, the United States, Canada, Mexico. I even went to China. They flew me to China. Maybe I should have stayed there. No, I'm kidding. It was great. It was really fascinating. Never seen so many people. But I think I did 12 lectures in like 16 days or something. Because, it takes you a whole day to get there and at least a whole day to get back. And then you get back and it takes you about a week to recover from the jet lag from 15 hours or whatever it was. It was crazy. But, something else I want to share with all of you that I always do. One of the reasons I'm so passionate about this, my own mother was morbidly obese my whole life. I never knew her thin. I never knew her healthy, but I loved her. It didn't matter how big she was. It was her heart, and she loved me. So I think she did. And 23 years ago, she called me up one day. Maybe some of you can relate to this. And she said, Peter, I have one wish in my life. I said, what's that, Mom? She said, I would give anything if I could just spend one day thin. I can't even imagine what that would be like. I said, wow, Mom, that's cool. Well, 6 months later, massive heart attack and stroke. My mom was like in her early 60s when she died. And part of the passion in me comes from the fact that my own mother did about every diet that there was. She did Weight Watchers for years, nothing against Weight Watchers. She did the South Beach diet. She did the grapefruit diet. She did just diet after diet after diet after diet. And I believe, I can't prove it, she dieted herself to death. So any of you out there suffering in quiet desperation, understand something. I saw fat shaming. I saw the way it made my mom feel. And I was really helpless. I didn't know what to do because she was doing everything she could to lose weight. Just wanted one day, not a week, not a month. And so I'd see her lose 20 pounds and gain 25 back, lose 25 and gain 30 back because I didn't know anything about it those days. So, now having written 4 best-selling books with medical doctors and did 20 shows on PBS and interviewed on the 4 biggest daytime shows in America and did over 1,500 lectures all over the world. I've spoken in front of hundreds of thousands of people. I'm really proud of what we're doing because we're giving you a chance to hit the do-over button that my mom never got a chance to do it. So whether you go to the website or you don't, that's totally up to you. But part of the reason that we set up the website so you wouldn't be worried or intimidated that somehow we're going to strong arm you. We're not selling anything. We're telling. We're making you aware of what's available. You're welcome to do any diet that you're on, you're thinking about doing. And we know right now what's coming. New Year's resolutions. Number 1 is weight loss. But every year it's getting worse and worse and worse. Yeah, I was speaking before. 2008. 60% of Americans were overweight and obese. You think, well, that's awful, right? Well, from 2008 to 2024, in 16 years, it's gone from 60% to 80%. And now they're saying, I think I read that, if some of you weren't on, this is Johns Hopkins Medical School study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030. They're estimating 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese by 2030. And they said by 2048, nearly 100% of America will be overweight or obese. Does that sound like diets are working to any of you? I mean, this is insane. But it's not your fault. That's what I want to tell you. It's not your fault. You didn't do anything. You just have the wrong approach. But it took these researchers 40 years to figure it out. They did paleo, keto, Mediterranean, time-restricted eating, the Cornish diet, the zone diet, lose weight for your blood type, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutris, on and on and on in almost 40 years. Thank God they kept going. But they finally figured it out that what they were doing was totally wrong. It was never going to work. You see right now, get ready, go to Barnes & Noble, wait till you see the new diet titles. They come out every year. Someone came on last week and told me about this wonderful program that was similar to this, and you lowered carbohydrates. And when I looked, and the person talking about this had no nutritional research, had no studies, opinions, nonsense, total nonsense. Now, again, I guess I'm a little bit battle worn because for 20 of my 22 years, despite all that academic stuff that I'd done, the medical world shunned us, wouldn't have anything to do with it. Well, that all changed a year ago when these 10 peer-reviewed human trials came out. Now we got doctor after doctor. As a matter of fact, the chief scientist that created this, he's actually speaking in New York tomorrow. He was invited, I think, by the Wall Street Journal to speak in front of like 1,000 doctors. They're saying that what they discovered what you would have access to do if you want to. It's made every diet obsolete. They're saying they're going to change the world. I mean, honest to gosh, why would you do a traditional diet to take 8 weeks to lose weight in the most unhealthy way, which you could lose in 7 days? Because you probably don't believe it's possible. I mean, I lost 40 pounds 21 years ago in 7 weeks. 7 weeks, 40 pounds. Kept it off for 21 years. That's all that matters. It's not, can we get the weight off you? But that's not the best. As I said before, the most important reason for you to think about doing this is because you and me and everybody has the TDOS syndrome. Toxicity driven by nutritional deficiency, overweight, and stress. And what are you doing about these chemicals that we're storing inside of our bodies? Not an opinion on my part, called obesogens. I mean, it's kind of like the definition of insanity. You all know what that is. You do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Well, isn't that what we're doing? Go to Barnes. Look at how many diets there are. Rows and rows and rows of books on diets and workout programs and exercise. But we're completely overwhelmed. It's not working. Now, lest you think it's just the United States problem, okay? The Lancet, one of the biggest medical journals in the world, they just concluded a study. They published it in March of 2024, so 7 months ago. They said that now 1 billion people worldwide are clinically obese, not just overweight. And they went on to say, making obesity the leading form of malnutrition in the world. They went on to say, people don't understand that being underweight and being obese are both forms of malnutrition because people aren't getting the right amounts of vitamins, minerals, and nutrients necessary to support an optimum state of health. I don't fault you if you want to do organic, if you want to grow your own garden. It doesn't matter. We've pretty much ruined the soil in North America. Our food is becoming more and more nutritionally insufficient. I'll use kind words. I mean, do you all understand the significance of this? These researchers, what they did for us, number one, they never gave up after almost 40 years. So none of what I'm telling you is my opinion. None of what I'm telling you is a sales pitch. Depends what you want to do. You want to go on diets to prove me wrong? Go for it, but they're not going to work long term. Not when I've just got a stack of medical studies right here. And every one of them says that you can lose weight on whatever diet you go on, but up to 40% of what you lost was lean muscle mass. Why does that make any sense at all? Doesn't. So, oh my gosh. Hi, Winnie. Oh my God, my granddaughter's on here. That is just fabulous. Oh, wow. Hello, sweetheart. Oh my gosh, that made my day. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's Bear. Bear's on here. Oh, you're on Winnie's site. I see. Okay, Bear. Oh, wonderful. Bear, go Buffs, right? There you go. Well, I guess it's pretty good when your grandkids are following you on TikTok. That is a real surprise. That is just absolutely wonderful. So again, I see Freight Damage is back and Stacy's Quest and Sin Bear. Would any of you like to ask me a question? Because we've now been almost an hour and a half. I'll maybe go another 10 minutes. Hopefully my voice will hold up. And I'm happy to answer any questions. And if you have a question before I sign off, I'll stay longer, okay? I'm just saying that I want to make sure that I address any questions that people have. Is this food? Donna, I think I answered that already for you, Donna. It's not supplements. Absolutely not. It has nothing to do with supplements, okay? Let's see. So who else would like to ask me a question? Or not. You don't have to. But again, let me put it down one more time at the very bottom under my grandson there. The website, which is free to go to. There's nothing to buy on that website. The only thing there is the medical proof. Hold on. There you can see the New Health Conversation. That's a free website to go to. We won't contact you if you go there, but you can contact us by scrolling down the bottom. It says sign up for a free personal consultation if that's what you want to do. You don't have any obligation to do it. You get to see everything up front. No gimmicks, no tricks, no, mystery. Let me just say that to you, okay? No. Oh, it's small challenges. I'm so happy you brought that up. So you may know that the Mediterranean diet has been the number one diet 7 years in a row, right? So in this, we have 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies on this protocol. I'll explain it to you in a moment, but let me tell you about the results and why it's so significant. So the Obesity Journal is recognized as one of the top 3 or 4 medical journals in the world for health, weight loss, et cetera, okay? So in this particular one of 10 peer-reviewed studies on this new protocol, they compared the results when people did this new program, which is called R2M, to the Mediterranean diet, because they wanted to compare it to the number one diet 7 years in a row. Okay, in the Mediterranean diet, after 8 months, people lost an average of 10.2 pounds. And right in it, it said up to 40% of what they lost on the Mediterranean diet was lean muscle mass, okay? Let's contrast it to the people who do R2M. First of all, in the first 30 days, they lost 16 pounds, gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass, no water loss, no exercise. Then in addition, they followed the people for a year. The people on the Mediterranean diet had gained back all their weight. These people, by the way, these studies they started 6 years ago. They followed these people for 6 years. Not only did they keep the weight off for a year, they've kept it off for 6 years. In my case, I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks. I've kept it off for 21, going on 22 years. No, it was compared to the Mediterranean diet and blew it away. It's not even in the same zip code. So it had nothing to do with what you would say whole foods on the Mediterranean diet. No, no, no. Only 30%, and some of those foods may be on the Mediterranean diet, because these researchers put together a food list of fats, carbs, proteins, salads, vegetables that you would consume. You'd get the list, but only 30% of what you're going to consume. The other 70% of the food you're going to consume comes from all over the world. They come from Russia, Mongolia, Manchuria, from Tibet and the Himalayas and South America. Now, why is that important? Because the researchers needed to find food that had tremendous amounts of nutrition, but not tremendous amounts of, so not much quantity, but tremendous quality, because our food in this country is becoming all but nutritionally bankrupt. Every diet, including the Mediterranean, you lose up to 40% of your lean muscle mass. It slows down that's why they gain all the weight back, because the diets are destined for failure. They just are. You got to understand, when they compared the results to the Mediterranean, it was like a joke. It was like a joke. I mean, you can imagine if they lost 16, there were people who lost 10 pounds in the first week. 8 months, 10.8 pounds on the Mediterranean diet. See, and the Mediterranean diet, by the way, does nothing to combat this, the TDOS syndrome, which you and me and everybody in the world has. T for toxicity, D for deficiency, O for being overweight, S is for stress. This is a registered trademark U.S. Patent Office. That's a big deal, because every person in the world has it. In the studies, in these studies where they did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, they proved this protocol was helping the body remove herbicides and pesticides and Scotchgard and Teflon and even plastics from our body. See, the main reason to do this is not to lose weight. That's like, it's like a joke. That's like that's going to happen, but that's not the main reason to do it. But also, you should understand small changes. They lowered blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides, all in 30 days. And you can see it right above there, the new health conversation, small changes. That's a free website for you to go with the medical proof. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show it to everybody right now, including you, small changes, so you don't think I'm making it up. There's nothing to buy on that medical site. The only thing there is the medical proof. If you go there, small change, we're not going to contact you. So I don't think we're calling you if you go there. Oh, how come they didn't call me? We're not calling you. The only way we'll contact you is once you've had a chance to look at the site for free and the medical proof. You can scroll down to the bottom and it says sign up for a free personal consultation. You don't have to do that to see the medical proof. Other people online, they want you to buy their program, then they'll show you what it is, and they'll give you 200 recipes, all nonsense. They don't have one shred of medical evidence, none, zero. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, small changes. For 20 of my 22 years, we had before and afters and anecdotal stories, which meant zero in the medical world, until about 14 months ago when there are 10 peer-reviewed human trials, 10, not one, proving that this makes all diets obsolete, whether it's Mediterranean, paleo, keto, time-restricted eating, Cornish diet, the zone diet, the lose weight for your blood type, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, obsolete. Well, let me ask you small changes. Why would you take 10 months on the Mediterranean diet to lose as much weight as, now keep in mind, no one is allowed to exercise in these studies. The study group, the Mediterranean diet, they could exercise, they could do whatever they wanted to do. And going on the Mediterranean diet is one of the most unhealthy things you could ever do, because when you lose lean muscle, not only does your body slow down your metabolism, but it also impacts your own immune system. So the Mediterranean diet, is it doing something for you? Well, maybe you think the number on the scale matters, as opposed to doing something to you. And don't think you come off these diets and all of a sudden your metabolism comes back. Because in the medical proof, 90% of what you are gaining back is fat. It's not lean muscle. When you go to the website, you'll think we photoshopped it. I'm going to surrender to that. But there are men and women that have lost 100 pounds. They have no loose skin. We didn't Photoshop anything, to let all of you know. Wow. Again, the David 71. Tell everybody, I don't know you. So it's not staged. Did everyone see that? 6 weeks, I'm down 33 pounds. I mean, how long on the Mediterranean diet based on that? So 10. That only would have taken, let's see, 3. It only would have taken 24 months, 2 years. How's that sound? But is that great? I'm just curious, the David 71, how many inches did you lose? And how do you feel? And David, if you don't mind, if you put it in the chat for everybody to see, I don't know this person. Don't think I set it up. It's not a scam. We don't do that. I'm just curious that he'll answer that. How much? Wow, 26 inches. That's phenomenal. But what I was going to say is, do you agree, going to the website, there's nothing to buy there. We didn't call you. You contacted us. And how valuable is who's your coach, and how valuable has the coaching been? See, what's so great about this is, like, I don't have to make any of this stuff up. I mean, think about that. That's 5 pounds a week, more than 5 pounds a week. and 26 inches. Now, granted, that's from the neck to the ankles. Oh, Colin, that's good. You really have a good coach. Everyone, I'm prejudiced because that's my son, who is actually our coach of coaches. He actually teaches the coaches. That's amazing. I like the daily. Oh, okay. Great damage. I like the daily videos. See, that's what we were talking about before for everyone. Let me show it to you. Here it is. So this blueprint for success is exactly what they did in the medical trials. But what they did, these yellows are all, that's what he's talking about, watching these daily videos, explaining, educating, making you aware of everything. It's really amazing. So, hey, there's Dan Mays. As a matter of fact, we tried today to do a live with him. He's one of he became a coach after his life-changing journey. So be watching for that. We're going to be doing live with him hopefully sometime in the next couple days. And actually, as far as I know, I believe he's coaching FR Damage. And so, again, small changes. Is this making sense? Do you have any other questions for me? It's not a diet. It's not the Mediterranean diet. It's not paleo. It's not keto. Nothing like that, etc. Oh, good. So Dan is your coach. That's wonderful. And obviously you're doing fabulously. So Miss Serena or Rita or Tammy, Rita or Miss Serena. You just missed. One of the people just came on and said they've lost 33 pounds in 6 weeks and they're still going strong and they feel fantastic. And 26 inches. I mean, this is unbelievable. Look, there's no comparison to this. You all can do whatever diets you want, but and imagine that he's losing on average over 5 pounds a week. And I've never met him. I don't know who it is, and I assume that let's see. Colin, I like the daily videos. Yes, he is. Yes, he is he's talking about Dan, is a really, really good coach and has an amazing, amazing story. So Miss Serena or Estelle, I know you're coming on late. I'm just about ready to finish this podcast. But if you notice I'll put it down at the bottom for everybody coming on now. This is a free website that you can go to. There's nothing to buy there. There's no, I've written 4 best-selling books and done 20 shows on PBS and 1,500 lectures all over the world. There's nothing to buy. It's only the medical proof. And since you're coming on late, I'm going to show both of you or anybody who's still on here. Here's the website. There's nothing to buy. The only thing there is the medical proof. Exactly how did they lose as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet? How did women lose a whole dress size in 7 days with no exercise allowed? They lost as much weight in 30 days as a year in any diet, lost no water weight, and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. So you can learn all that on that website. And if you go there, we will not contact you. Let me repeat that. If you go to the website, we're not contacting you. But if you like what you see, which most people do, they scroll down. It says sign up for a free personal consultation with one of our coaches. It's totally free. Our coaches aren't there to sell you or convince you. They're there to educate you. And that coach who interviews you, they'll be your coach the whole time for free. The coaching's 100% free. Okay? But again, Estelle or Serenity, how excited would you be if you could lose a dress size in 7 days, by the way, with no exercise? The people in these studies were not allowed to exercise. They actually wore Fitbits, proving they weren't exercising. I know it sounds too good to be true, but that's why we give you the option to go see the medical proof. I see a lot of these sites, they want you to buy their program, then they're going to show you. And they're making these outlandish claims with no evidence. They're just making things up. We're not. Now, again, the people coming on here, unless you think I know them, which I don't, but David, 6 weeks, 33 pounds and 26 inches. When was the last time any of you lost 33 pounds on whatever diet, and how long did it take you? Well, let me put it in contrast for you. This is a good one. So in my hand, I have the New England Journal of Medicine. Be very clear, I'm not against the shots. I'm not. The GLP-1. So in this case, it was semaglutide, 68 weeks. Let's put it in contrast to what David's done here. This is right I'm reading from the report. After 68 weeks, the average weight loss was 32 pounds, and up to 40% of what they lost was lean muscle mass. That's a year and 4 months. David lost 33 pounds in 6 weeks. Do you get it? Do you get it? And by the way, I'm working with a lot of people that are on the shots because they're worried about losing lean muscle. So we're working in conjunction with them. And the thing about the shots is diabetics, is people that are, morbidly obese, it's helping them. I'm not against that. I'm just contrasting the difference. They lost 32 pounds in 68 weeks, and David's lost 33 pounds in 6 weeks. Which one would you rather do? And also 33 pounds and 26 inches. I know the thing you're all struggling with, it's too good to be true. There's another shoe, there's no tricks. When you go and see the medical proof, you'll understand. There's an interview with the #1 weight loss nutrition physiologist in the whole world, who for almost 40 years, they've conducted over 100 studies, thousands of people, and you know what they concluded? Diets don't work. Not long term. And now we have evidence to prove that. This is one. Well, let's go to Harvard Medical School. Does everybody agree that's a pretty big source where they said stop counting calories? They said the idea of a calorie in and calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist, Harvard Medical School. She goes on to say, drop the calories notion. It's time to take a different approach by concentrating on what's in our food, not how much food we're consuming. Well, that's exactly what these researchers did. So 30% of the food you would consume if you did this comes from the grocery store, and you get a list. But the other 70% comes from 5 foods that come from all over the world, from Russia, Mongolia, Manchuria, Tibet, and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand. Why is that important? Because our food in this country is all but nutritionally bankrupt. So that's why they limited people only 30% of the food you'd consume if you did this from the grocery store. The other 70% from these foods around the world that have massive amounts of nutrition with no herbicides, no pesticides, etc. And then they had you, for the new people, they had you do 2 completely different ways of consuming food, not a diet. They started you out, every week you did 5 days of what's called protein pacing. What the heck is that? You started out with the 5 foods from around the world that the researchers called the world's most perfect meals. So you had that for breakfast, then lunch from the grocery store, dinner from the grocery store, and a 4th meal. You have 4 meals a day. You ever heard of that on a diet? Eating more? But really, you're eating more, but eating less, if that makes sense. You're eating more nutrition, but not more quantity of food. That's why this works. And then 2 days a week, they had you do something called intermittent nutritional fasting, not fasting. Don't hear the word fasting. That's not what they were doing. Or this time-restricted eating where you don't eat for 16 hours and you eat for 8. They call it intermittent fasting. Well, those 2 days You only consume these 5 foods around the world, 4 meals. I know it sounds crazy. How can I be fasting if I'm getting nutrition? That's why this works. But if you tried to do it with regular food, it would never work, because the body needs a certain amount of nutrition in order for the brain, the heart, the liver, all the organs to run. And all the longevity studies, in case you don't know it, are about, they say if you can lower the amount of food you're consuming, you're going to live the longest life if that food has nutrition. That's our downfall. You're all going, you're telling me I eat healthy, I'm doing organic. Congratulations. It's still almost nutritionally bad. I mean, I'll give you a drastic example. A bowl of spinach from 1953. Cornell University did a study on the iron levels in spinach. From 1953 to today, they estimate that the iron levels in spinach have decreased, you ready for this, by 4,300%. Loosely translated, a bowl of spinach in 1953, today you'd have to eat about 40 bowls of spinach. And you wonder why we're never full, never satisfied. And they've all convinced you to count calories. Well, that's nonsense. The human body doesn't know what a calorie is. It's a measurement. It's the amount of heat it takes to raise a gram of water 1 degree Celsius. That's it. These results have never been seen in history. And you can go and see what's involved for free with no obligation, nothing. We're not tricking you. We don't have time to convince and sell people. We're educating people. So I hope that this has been really helpful. Do I have to listen to you to find out? Well, I'm sure that's some kind of snide comment. You don't have to do anything. Small changes. How's it possible to gain weight without exercise? Okay, I'll address that in just a moment. So Big Red Machine, then go to the website. You can see everything for free, and you can sign up for a free consultation. Okay, is that good enough? You don't have to listen to me, obviously. But let me address the small changes, your question. So small changes, in case you didn't know, maybe you know this, all right? This will probably be a first for everybody. The way we make muscle in the body, if you're lifting weights, you got resistance training, you can't do it without one of 20 amino acids. So there are 9 essential amino acids and 11 non-essential, a total of 20. Now, how do we get amino acids? We get them from proteins, either from a plant or an animal. But now, out of Europe, in the last, about 8 years ago, they developed a test through blood, stool, urine, and fat. When you ingest protein, well, this will shock you. Protein itself, what's not converted to amino acids, is actually a toxin. They have a name. They're called nitrogen catabolites, the waste of the protein that's not converted into amino acids. And what they were able to measure in Europe, when you ingested plant protein or an animal protein, you got all 20 amino acids. You would think that's great. It means nothing. The only thing the body cares about small changes is the amount, the quantity of the 20 amino acids being used by our genes to make human protein. Now, maybe you know this, maybe you don't. Some of you probably don't. We have 22,000 genes in our body. We make 22,000 different proteins. And the only way we make a protein is with an amino acids. That's why amino acids are called the building blocks of life. So when they looked at remember, this has nothing to do with these researchers. It wasn't their research. It was developed in Europe. When they looked at plant-based protein, the absorption of amino acids, believe it or not, small change, was only 10%. When they looked at all meat, steak, chicken, liver, grass-fed beef, didn't matter what it was, 30%. They found a source where the absorption of the amino acids was 91%. Now, back to your question, how can you build muscle without exercise? You build muscle in your body not from lifting weights and from resistance training, unless you have one of the 9 essential amino acids. You can look it up. It's called leucine. Okay? That's why bodybuilders, you'll see them, they'll have 1 gram or 2 grams of protein for every pound they weigh. They don't understand they're destroying their kidneys. Because like I said before, if you thought of protein like a walnut shell, okay, so obviously we got that. I can't believe it's going to be Thanksgiving like in 3 weeks or whatever. But a walnut shell, you crack it open, you don't want to eat the shell. But the body, what's left of the protein that's not an amino acid, the kidneys have to get rid of. That's why they're called nitrogen catabolites. That's why, God forbid, you ever had a friend on kidney dialysis, they don't have any protein at all. And yet you need amino acids in order to remake our cells. For example, we remake the lining of our stomach about twice a month. We make 2 new livers twice a year and turn over almost every cell in our body once every 7 years. That doesn't happen with fats, it doesn't happen with carbs, and it doesn't happen with protein itself. So the reason that they built lean muscle with no exercise, they weren't allowed to exercise. They wore Fitbits, proving, because they were getting 91% of leucine to make the muscles with no, and the researchers did it on purpose. They wanted to see, could we make muscle with no exercise? Now, obviously, if you want to exercise, it's even better. We have the medical proof. I mean, it's not up for debate. They measured the muscle mass. And no one was allowed to exercise, and they gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. It's right in the studies. If you go to the website, you'll see the breakdown. It's right there. That's why there's nothing on the planet like this. And, that's why when people we're educators, okay? We are. And what people want to do, they want to try to put it in a box they're familiar with, like lowering calories, workouts. It doesn't work. I mean, small change. We have 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. Honest to God, small changes. Do you think what we're doing is working? And they're saying, I think you heard me read from that report before that this one is from the Johns Hopkins Medical School. Study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030. They're estimating 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese in 5 years. This is crazy. Go to Barnes & Noble, look at how many diets there are. Mediterranean, that's the number one diet, and it got blown away. It wasn't even in the same zip code. You be the judge. I mean, the researchers could have picked a lousy diet program. They picked the number one to compare it with. It wasn't even a fair fight. Not that it was a fight, but you know what I'm saying. So anyway, wow, I can't believe it. We've been almost 2 hours. So my voice is, so small changes. Does that answer your question for you? And like I said, I would invite anybody, including you, I'm going to put it in there for you one more time, small changes. What I invite you to do is to go to the new health conversation. You can see it right there. And you'll see the medical proof. If I didn't show it to you, small change or anybody else, there's the website. There's nothing to buy there. Not my books, not products, no celebrity endorsements. It's just the medical proof for you to get to see the medical proof. And then if you want, you can sign up for a free consultation to learn more about it with your particular, because honestly, small change, we don't know if you want to gain weight, lose weight. We have a gentleman now with a heart transplant. We have people with kidney transplants. Although we're not treating, curing, diagnosing, or make any medical proclamations whatsoever. All we're doing is showing you exactly, because the coaching's free. It's free. And those 5 foods that you'd be buying, any of you, so 30% of the food you're going to buy so take your total food budget, because people ask me how much it is all the time. Take 30% of what you're spending now, that's what you're going to spend at the grocery store. You're going to find that you're going to need way less quantities, okay? Then the other 5 foods, 70% of what you're going to purchase comes from these 5 foods from around the world. But the people that supplied these to the researchers don't sell anything. They don't have a product. They don't have a company. They're scientists. We don't sell you anything. You buy directly from the suppliers, and guess what they give you? The first 30 days, 100% money back guarantee. Are they doing that for you on intermittent fasting, time restricted eating? Are they doing that for paleo or keto or No, they're not. I know it sounds too good to be true. And I know people get, upset with me. Nothing, I don't matter. I'm the researcher of the research. What you should care about is the science that's on that website for you to see. I mean, can you imagine? I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks, 22 years ago, and I've kept it off for 22 years. That's what should excite you. That's what should intrigue you about this, or not. So, any other questions from anybody? And as I told you, Big Red Machine, I'll put it underneath for you. No, you don't have to listen to me. Doesn't matter whether you like me or don't. I'm a scientist. I'm just showing you the science for free. What you do with it, that's up to you, because diets are an abject failure, and we know it. We have We have an apocalypse on our hand in 5 years. 86% of America is going to be overweight or obese. So some people obviously, I've done 1,500 lectures all over the world, spoken in front of more than 500,000 people, and we figure that we've helped about 700,000 people because not everybody came to my lectures, and they've lost around 20 million pounds in 22 years. But it's not that hard to believe when you got that many people. But you can see that the people up here talking about their results. I mean, let me find him. 7 pounds in 4 days, 6 weeks, 33 pounds in 6 weeks, and 26 inches. Is anybody interested in that? 6 weeks, not 6 months. So let's see. Leucine increases insulin sensitivity. Well, okay, small changes. That's okay. Interesting that you bring that up. So in the studies, they had diabetics in there, okay? One of the things that you may or may not be aware of, that glucophage, metformin, insulin, they definitely drive blood sugar down. But when it drives blood sugar down, insulin goes up. Again, insulin resistance, right? It's sort of what the drug is doing. This isn't up for debate. We know this, right? So in the studies, small changes, just to let you know, they were diabetics, okay? As a matter of fact, to let you know, this was invented by a diabetic chemist more than 25 years ago, okay? In the studies where they measured with the diabetics, they're medical doctors, not the researchers, but there were medical doctors monitoring the diabetics going through. Because you got to understand, no one had ever done this before. So the researchers, they didn't really know what was going to happen. So now you got people on glucophage and metformin and insulin and, these drugs, right? So in a month's time, this is what will blow your mind. The blood sugar came down 10 points, not 10%. But for the first time ever, to address your point in reverse, insulin came down, you ready for this? 41% in 30 days. That had never been seen before, period, end of the story. With the leucine, it had no bearing. I mean, it came down 41%. Go to the website. You'll see the medical proof. I'm not making this up. It's a well-aimed question. Because on diets, these results have never been seen before. Never. My God, inflammation went down 25% in 30 days. That's never been seen. Also, they did blood, stool, urine, and fat, proving this is removing chemicals from the body. I'm not disagreeing, but the leucine sensitivity you're talking about was not on this. The reverse happened. Not the leucine, I meant the insulin sensitivity. It went down, my God, it went down by 41% in 30 days. That should interest you, I would think. But don't believe me. Go look at the medical proof and look at the interview with the #1 weight loss nutrition physiologist in the entire world. That's what you should pay attention to if you want. Otherwise, because if you go there, we're not going to, honestly, we're not going to contact you. We don't need to. We rely on the medical proof. It's all there. It's all out in the open. Nothing's hidden. Great question. Any other questions about it, small changes? Because obviously we talked about how they built lean muscle with no exercise. And now we've talked about the insulin sensitivity. So I'll wait about another 2 minutes and then I'm going to conclude this podcast. So Estelle or Lester or Naturo 333, if any of you would like to ask me a question, I'm more than happy to answer it. Or not. But do you all understand, for the new people coming on, that you can go to this website, the New Health Conversation, everything's there, the medical proof, there's a walkthrough of how to do what they did, there's an interview with the #1 weight loss nutrition physiologist in the entire world. It's all free. There's nothing there to buy. We won't contact you if you go there. The only way we'll contact you is if you scroll down, sign up for a free personal consultation. If you want, you don't have to do it, right? So, about a minute. You sure no one wants to ask me a question? Normally I make people mad because of the fact that they want to hang on to their beliefs, which are substantiated in what they were doing, but they're not doing this. I guess that's what I would say. And it's the only, think about it, even small changes, think about it. It's the only weight loss, nutrition, health protocol in the world with, well, none of them have one peer-reviewed human trial study, let alone 10. in the biggest medical journals in the world. As a matter of fact, the last one was published, you might be interested in this small changes, in Nature Communications, which is the #1 medical journal in the world. Had nothing to do with weight loss. The title was Gut Microbiome Remodeling and Metabolic Profile Improves Drastically in Just 30 Days. What they were talking about is our gut. Our gut is really our immune system. It also controls most of your emotions. It's called the microbiome, okay? Now, how am I able to talk about it? Because we wrote a very well, I mean, this was incredibly acclaimed in the medical world, called Your Third Brain. I wrote it with, I know you can't quite see him, the guy in the white coat, and that's not because he's in a mental institution. He's one of the top oncologists in the world and a molecular biologist. He's worked with 2 men who won the Nobel Prize in medicine, and he's done in his lifetime. Most medical doctors or researchers want to get published in these big medical journals, and they'll do 10, 15, 20, maybe 30 papers in their entire career. He's already published 237 papers in the biggest medical journals in the world, and 2 of his papers are in the top 10% of all medical papers ever published in history. So this book is not a fake. Your Third Brain is your gut. And this medical study, which had nothing to do with us, they proved that this protocol that we're talking about massively increased what's called the biodiversity of the, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds, but basically think of a garden. You don't want to plant just tomatoes. You want tomatoes and maybe beans and corn, so you have a diversity. The same thing in our gut. Well, they in 30 days they proved in the studies that it increased what's called the biodiversity of the bacterias and the everything in the gut by 25% in 30 days. And people with extreme gut problems at 8 weeks had major turnarounds in their gut issues. It's in the medical study. So it's not like I'm making things up. It's there. It's the medical proof. And Nature Communications, the #1 medical journal in the world, it's so exclusive that out of 100 studies submitted to them to get published, they look at 7. And out of 7, they publish 1. There's nothing higher in medical examination than that. That's why I keep telling people, don't do this to lose weight. There's so many other factors that factor into this. And I know it sounds too good to be true, and I know you're skeptical, and I can't do anything about that. All we can do is present a platform. Go look at the medical proof for sure, for free. If you like it, sign up for free consultation or not. Okay? So no other questions, it doesn't look like. So anyway, I'm going to conclude this podcast. I want to thank all of you for listening, for your questions, for your comments. I want to thank you for the people that pitched in to tell us how well they'd been doing. And I wish you nothing but great health. And I hope you will for your own benefit. Ralph or Estella or Natural 333. Go to that website. You can see it there in several places. The New Health Conversation. It's at the bottom of the comment section. It's free to go there. We won't contact you if you go there, but you'll learn about this protocol, how men and women are losing as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet, losing as much weight in a month as a year on any diet, no loss of water, and gaining 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Okay? So I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. Small change. Thanks for your comments. I hope you will go there and see what you think. Okay? And also for the rest of you. So everybody, I bid you adieu.